Hello Internet, in today's video is going to be another book opinion. Those are videos in which I tell you my opinion on a book, and today's book is going to be a whole series review. So I'm going to be talking about Saga by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. I will be referencing from volumes 1 through 8, which is as far as I've read, and that is what is available at this point in time as far as I am aware. I'm of course not going to get into anything spoilery, anything specific. I just really want to tell you my feelings about this graphic novel and maybe why you should attempt it and pick it up yourself. So Saga is a very, very entertaining and very, very visual experience. That's the words I'm looking for. So if you're not familiar with the main plot of this story, we have two people right here. This is the first volume. We have a woman called Elena, and she comes from a planet of people with a bunch of wings. And then we have Marco, who comes from the moon that circles that planet, and his people really have like horns and distinctive animalish features. Now these two races have been at war for a very, very long time. It is not really understood why they started this war, but they have been at it for a really long time, and they have spread this war across the universe to different planets, affecting different planets, different kingdoms, different peoples, and different alien races. Now these two here, under very strange circumstances, come to fall in love and run away together, and they end up somehow having a child. I don't know how those genetics work, but apparently it's possible that these two can breed together. Maybe they have like a similar line somewhere, or I don't know. Like usually, like hybrids aren't the easiest things to create because, you know, I'm not going to get into the science, but like they have a child. So this book begins with them birthing their young baby Hazel, and it is found out that they're having this hybrid baby. Not only are they from two gigantic conglomerates of warring races, but now they have created a hybrid baby, and neither side is too happy about this. So now these two new parents and this baby are being chased across the universe by different people who are trying to hunt them down. So over the course of this book, we really get a feeling that for this family, they're not always going to get the happiest story. They're going to have a lot of happy moments, but otherwise it's going to be a story filled with sadness. Therefore, like when everything happens and kind of shit goes down in this book, it's really moving, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like it's put in there just to get your feelings, right? Because sometimes it feels like authors write sad things in your books to like spike some emotion in you. Here it is very clear from the very beginning that, hey, these people have pretty shit lives. Sometimes they're happy, but most of the time they're being chased down and almost murdered. Like, that's just the way of life. A lot of the story follows these two and their baby Hazel. The story is narrated by Hazel telling the story of her parents, how they came to have her, how like her younger years were, and she's just describing her life and her life story and what's going on and like what went on with her parents and like all the different people that she met while they were on the run different places. I really love this story for having a very visual and very imaginative world and universe for you to go into. A big issue that you can see with a lot of sci-fi, especially sci-fi that introduces other alien races, they are all human-esque and humanoid, and while there are definitely a multitude of humanoid creatures here, a big issue that you can have is like you're wondering, why would every intelligence be humanoid? Like, why would that be the default? Why wouldn't they have like 3 legs or 4 legs or 5 legs or no legs? Like, why wouldn't that be a thing? So in this book, there are definitely a bunch of different alien races that aren't bipedal, and that makes a whole lot more sense. Like, of course, there are definitely a lot who are, but I did appreciate that introduction and having characters who aren't bipedal and who are coming from like different backgrounds and didn't always look like human, right? Because like, why would everything look and function as human? Like, that wouldn't make any sense. So I did like that aspect. I really like the aspect that these two, while being new parents, it was very clear that they're their own people. A lot of times when we have parents in stories, we really don't get to see both the parents and the children being shown as well-rounded, three-dimensional characters. A lot of the times the parents are just like, hey, here are parents, and then you'll have that one scene where you can see that a parent is a person, or you'll have like kids and you're just like, hey, here's that cute kid, and maybe you'll see that one scene where that kid is dealing with something that doesn't involve them being your kid. But like I hope that makes sense. But here we really get to see both parents be like people, just people doing things and fucking up and screwing up and like doing things they shouldn't be doing and trying their hardest to be parents to this new baby that they don't know how to raise a kid, like they're first time parents. And we also get to see Hazel as a person outside of just being the daughter of two people who are on the run. So I really like that every single character really got the diverse feel to them. I really do like that this book has a lot of queer rep, and that is not something that is made just to be like, oh hey, here's queer rep, hope you guys are happy. That's just something that's built naturally into their characters, which is how it should be. So I mention it here for like prosperity's sake. So it's like, hey, if you want to see good queer rep where it's there because it should be there because it's something naturally that happens, this is something that I suggest you read. There is a lot of artwork where you're just like, ooh, that's a little gross, but I think it really, really works in the context of the story. These characters are not afraid to go there. Like these artists, this author artist team are not afraid to go there sometimes. Like sometimes I was reading this, I was like, ooh, I probably shouldn't be reading this panel in public, because not anything like, I'm not saying like not anything necessarily like sexual, but something that like if someone saw what you were reading over your shoulder, you'd have to explain a lot of what was going on because they might not understand that. And it slowly introduces you to that concept in the first few books, but like later it's like, oh, okay, that was something that I just saw. And I really like that value of the story. I really like being like, wow, I didn't expect you to draw that or for that to be something visualized here. So I did like that. I like the progression of the story in general as we got to know the characters, as we got to explore the characters, not only like this main little family, but all the extra characters that come in and really become their own form of character, their own main character. And the, I guess, complexity, like you never see a character in this book and you're like, oh, I really didn't get a feel for that character. You do get a feel for like all your main characters. You really do understand them as three-dimensional, which I think is very commendable given that you do get a lot of main characters outside of just this little family. You get like a grandmother, you get a friend, you get nannies, you get like random strangers they meet, you get the hunters who are hunting them down. All of these characters, it takes time to make every character three-dimensional, so when you're following this story, it does make a lot of sense. Another thing that I really, really appreciate when it comes to this book, and the last thing I'm going to mention here, is that every volume ends pretty decently. Like, these graphic novels, they take a lot of time to make, right? To get the art, to like all of that sort of stuff. Just books in general take a long time to come out and be released, and I expect that it's basically the same for graphic novels, especially when you have to go through all of this artwork that you have to do as well. So I really like the fact that because like it does come across really short, despite like them taking all this time to do like this artwork and you understanding why it takes long, graphic novels are definitely a shorter story, correct? So I like that by the end of each novel, the writer ensures to end it on a point where it doesn't feel like too much of a cliffhanger. Like you feel like the little plot for this story, something has happened, something has concluded, but you do definitely understand that there is a promise for a whole lot more shit to go down in the future. So I really, really appreciate that, because like if we're going to have to wait a while for the next volume, it's definitely a relief to know that if you go into this, you're not going to be left on the worst cliffhanger in the world. You're going to be left on something manageable, on something that you're going to be like, okay, I really do want more. I really can't wait to see what the next thing that's going to happen is. But at the same time, it's not like leaving you dangling off the edge of a cliff. You're just like standing there looking down, like very, very safe and considerate. So that is something I really appreciate. So if science fiction is something that's if you really, really like when there are great character developments, when each character comes off as three-dimensional, and you really want to see a graphic novel and a story that really has a very interesting world that it takes place in, which doesn't seem like monolithic. You can definitely get a feel for each planet and each type of like alien race and all the stuff that is appearing. I highly suggest Saga because it's definitely well written and definitely a very big world that is very, very interesting to learn more about. So if you like what you're seeing here and you want to continue to see more, click all those bunnies down below, and goodbye, internet.